Welcome to Paradigm Playbook, the podcast on the business of sports. With 50 plus years of experience, Steve Cook shares insights weekly, featuring top playmakers shaping the industry. Get ready to script your next play. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to Paradigm Playbook. I'm your host, Steve Cook, and with me today is Reece O'Hara. I'm very excited about this. I met Reece through other guests that we've had here on Paradigm Playbook, but primarily through Jeff Metzger at Kids First in Cincinnati. Reece is the department leader for Ninja at Kids First and runs Queen City Ninja. Welcome, Reece. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me on, Steve. Like Steve was saying, I've grown up at Kids First. I started as actually a tumblebee in the preschool program there, and my parents both coached, and I just kind of grew up with Kids First as my childhood and became a preschool instructor, and then stepped over to Ninja, and then ended up being department leader of the Ninja program. And it's been a fast-paced but long journey at the same time.
If anyone in the audience is not familiar with Kids First started out as Queen City Gymnastics as a small gym in the brown box, as Jeff says. It's Jeff Metzger's program. Now it's owned partially by Jen Evans, who is Reese's mom. The ownership has changed, but the transfer of ownership has been very intentional, as is everything that Jeff Metzger does. So I'm a big fan of Jeff Metzger, as everybody knows. He runs boot camp, and Reece is a part of boot camp. And now Reece has also launched his own annual event. Is this once a year? Okay.
Yep, once a year.
And it's Ninja Connect.
Yep, we called it Ninja Connect. Last year was our first year hosting, and we maxed out at 50 attendees. I was expecting, I think 10 was my goal. So to max it out on the first year, we have big plans for this upcoming year.
Let's talk about, so it's an interesting phenomenon that's happening in the industry right now, in that there's these niche industries that are developing their own conferences. And not that the business side of it is that much different than a gymnastic club, but the overall approach, the marketing, there's a lot of differences in it. So yours is just for Ninja clubs?
For anyone that is either running an existing Ninja program or business, or wants to add Ninja, or just wants to learn more about the industry. I didn't know much at the time when I stepped in as department leader for the Ninja program. I had to learn a lot on my own. And one thing that was really apparent was that gymnastics is a bit further along than Ninja, where there's a lot of educational resources. There's a community out there. Ninja was a bit more separated. So I started Ninja Connect as a way to get everyone in the same room talking and discussing very much how gymnastics first started to get organized.
I was proud to be invited as a presenter last year. I present on the business side of it. So there's a lot of similarities on the business side of it. If you're keeping a P&L, it's not that much different in Ninja. You have different categories and you have different expenses, but the basics of business are the same. And this year I've dug really deep into how to build business value. So I'm doing this value builders thing, which is exciting. So let's go back to when Kids First decided to start Ninja. Tell me about that decision. Were you involved at the time, or did they just steal you from a different program?
I think it started out as me getting stolen from a different program, and then it turned into me being involved. So we had 3 basketball courts from 2008 to about 2019, 2020. In 2016, we knew that Ronnie, who was renting the basketball area from us, wanted to expand into a different building, and he's still on our property. It's just a separate complex now. So we were thinking, okay, we have all of this square footage. What's going to go here? And the executive team, so Jen, Casey, I believe Corey Danner at the time, and a few other key players at Kids First, went across the whole country looking at just the various states of Ninja in the country. We heard about Ninja Warrior. We saw the show, and we knew that it was getting a lot of traction in 2016. So we wanted to research it more. We went out from east to west coast and looked at every sort of Ninja gym you could imagine. And they realized that Ninja just fits the personality and culture of Kids First, and that it's this really great sport for those kids who, regardless of their skill level, they just want to live happy, healthy, and responsible lives, which is our entire mission at Kids First. So then we started planning that out from about 2016, 2017 until 2020. And I was not super involved until probably 2020. We had the whole pandemic and stuff, and I believe had to leave the gym half built because of all the state orders and stuff. The installers from DGS had to get back to their state before they got locked out. So we just sat with a half-built gym for a couple months, finally finished. We were able to open in July of 2020. And we opened with about 40 students, and the rest just kept growing from there.
And sometimes Reese and other members of the management team at Kids First speak offhanded about changes they made, but setting up this ninja gym wasn't like bringing in 3 new balance beam and a set of bars. This was a major undertaking. So how many square feet are in your ninja gym?
Yeah, that's a good point, because I guess it was so long ago, it feels, oh yeah, we just rolled out some carpet bonded foam and put up some steel rigging and stuff. That was a lot of work. I believe we have 10,000 square foot of ninja space, and then the whole facility is another basketball court after that. But I remember spending hours just putting together the tables that the parents sit on, and it took us forever to put together these tables that we bought from, I think it was like Walmart or something. But then the installers put the posts in, but me and some of the other department leaders, I wasn't a department leader at the time. I was just a coach and quarantined, so I didn't have anything else to do. We were cutting the carpet bonded foam. We were putting the obstacles together. We helped DGS build the gym from the ground up.
And those that are interested, at the end of the podcast, I will make sure that you get a connection with Reese. And if you want to reach out to him or find out where you can see some pictures of the gym, there's a very robust website that shows you everything that they're doing at Kids First. So it's pretty exciting. I'm sorry, tell me again, how many square feet did we end up with?
For Ninja, we have 10,000 square feet.
10,000 is as big as many of my listeners' gyms as a whole. I don't think we wanted to say that you have to have 10,000 square feet. It's nice if you have it and you're that big. But the nice thing, and when I ran a ninja program in my facility, we did it with 2,000 square feet, which, the number of students is diminished, the number of obstacles is diminished, but the amount of fun isn't. And so I think we're able to keep that active. How did you figure out, do you call it a curriculum? Well, what you do in your program, how did you figure that out?
So I do call it a curriculum, and we have a whole lesson plan. We're starting to do monthly focuses, and we have it mapped out for a whole year. That was based originally on my experience in preschool gymnastics, mixed with a lot of just on-the-job training. I was the one, so early on, we had, I think, 5 or 6 coaches for the whole week, and that also meant setup, and setup was just me for 3 days setting up all the courses in a 10,000 square foot gym. So early on, our preschool program does 2-week setups, where they change all the courses after 2 weeks. I didn't want to set up the whole gym every 2 weeks, so we bumped it to 3 weeks, and then we started to just tweak and play around with the skills. I watched a lot of competitions on Facebook to learn how the skills worked and what the obstacles were intended for. And then a lot of it was my own experience. I would run courses and train, and I was really in shape at the time. And then this past year specifically, I started to take a more developmental focus and work on the overall physical and cognitive development of grade school kids all the way to, we have some adults that train with us, and breaking the lesson plans down to fit those developmental milestones versus just chasing the skills. I think some gymnastics programs and ninja programs, they look at lesson plans based on just skills. We focused on the overall cognitive and physical development, similar to our preschool program. I can tell where I grew up.
Yeah, I found that when I was running a ninja program, what fascinated me was what is considered work in one gym is fun and exploration in a ninja gym.
Yes.
So for example, if I wanted kids in my baseball academy to run sprints, it would start with oh no, sprint. But if I say we're going to try to get up that warp wall and you have to run as fast as you can as you approach it, they will do it all day.
We have kids that come in for an hour of open gym just to get up the wall. So they'll spend the whole hour doing hill sprints because they want to get up the wall and hit the buzzer. We have another, it's to work on forearm strength and cat hang type movements. It's a game. We just have them hang on a post for as long as they can, and their forearms are, burning hopefully by the end of it, but it's fun for them.
And I think that's critical in making fitness fun. I used to use the analogy that sometimes when you want to get kids to eat peas, you have to mix them in the mashed potatoes. And if you're doing a warp wall, you're doing a sprint, you're doing a lunge, you're doing a pull-up, you're doing a muscle up. All those activities are in one act, and to get kids to do that over and over again is special. And like you said, they come in asking for that. What's the next most popular thing that the kids do when they come into the gym?
Let's see, definitely the warped walls first. And then after that, also, ninja is a bit of visual appearance. You have to be a little intentional with what you have set up on the courses, because we'll have this crazy looking obstacle that's, intended for older kids set up, but all the young kids want to do it because it looks really fun. I think we have this swinging pendulum obstacle. It's called a TikTok from
Okay.
DGS, and all of the kids want to get a huge swing on it and then jump off the end of it.
Okay.
Salmon ladder for our older kids is always really popular. They want to be able to hop the bar. We even have some 8-year-olds that are like, I want to try that. And I'm like, okay, go for it. It's on a pulley system, so it's fairly safe, and like you just hold on to that bar.
When the show first came on the air, there weren't companies that were making that stuff for public. There wasn't a B2B outlet for that. So we built a lot of our own. And like everybody else, I thought the salmon ladder was the coolest thing in the world. So we built a salmon ladder with small steps, like 6-inch steps, and put it out there and quickly found out that nobody could do it.
It's harder than it looks. So we're insured for adults. So we'll have open gyms and the dads come in and I want to try that salmon ladder. I'm like, okay, go. And they fall on their back every time. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, but they'll do it over and over again. And it's just amazing when you watch the TV show. Yeah, I think they kind of make it look easy, and not easy, but they don't look the struggles that a normal person goes through to try to do a warp wall or a salmon ladder. We got creative one point, and I wanted that hopping action that you get from a salmon ladder. So we leveled one out and did it flat, and you still had to go up and over. So we called it a flounder ladder because it was like a flat fish.
Yeah, we did the same thing. Our team actually wasn't the greatest at that flying bar hopping movement.
Yeah.
We took some higher firm, like hard resi blocks and just put the bar over top of that and just had them hop up and down on that so they could still touch the ground. And then
Oh,
we
okay.
put little foamies on top of it so they had to hop up and over the foamy. That way it was all a little bit more padded because they get nervous about the bar and stuff. You mentioned making the show, like everyone on the show makes it look straightforward and simple.
Yeah.
Trying to get parents to realize how hard that stuff on the show is and then that their kids are doing that. That's a really great way that we've seen. Like we have coaches that'll go out and talk to the parents while classes are going on about what the kids are doing. And you see the parents, like they start getting invested, like, oh my gosh, like my kid's a superstar for hanging on that cliffhanger for 5 seconds. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning, there was a lot of people say, well, I'm going to build one of these things in my backyard. When I was a kid, we would get on a swing set and swing and try to jump off as far as we could, similar to your swinging
Yeah.
pendulum. But there is a technique to it. I think, and this is true probably in every sport, that sometimes the parents don't understand that all that you've accumulated in your head to teach them to help the kids reach success earlier.
Yes, and keep them safe. It's the same as doing a front flip in your backyard versus a front flip at a gym, where the coach just knows how to get that kid to be able to rotate faster, stick the landing, or at least jump higher so they can land on their feet and not their bottom or their face.
Yeah.
And with ninja, it's the same thing. We're teaching these kids how to more efficiently move their body so that they can, achieve the things they want to achieve. And I think sometimes parents, especially in the competitive side, you'll see parents that coach their kids, and it's just they know their kid, but they don't have all of that experience where I've seen thousands of kids throw a lâché before. So I always brag a little bit. I could hear a kid land and then tell them that their chest was down or up or that they threw too high or whatever, just based on the sound they made when they landed. And it just takes it's like any skill. It takes repetition to be a good coach or a good athlete.
I remember the parents looking at me strangely when I said that they hit the warp. The wrong foot was their lead foot on the warp wall. You got to switch feet to get that because your last foot has to be your strong foot.
Yeah.
And so I think people miss a lot of that technique that's there. In terms of curriculum or participation, the balance of upper body, lower body obstacles.
So with our classes, that's actually something I've noticed. We do it differently than a lot of gyms. It's about, for our gym, 50-50, where so half of our class courses are actually lower body focused agility, coordination, balance, and lower body strength exercises. And then the other half is upper body. And as you get older, our 12 and up age group, they're working more. They might do 3 upper body courses and 1 lower body course. But with those younger ones, it might be 3 lower body courses because they're not strong enough to hang that long. So our 5 and 6-year-olds, they might do 3 lower body courses, blend in a little bit of upper body work, and then do 1 upper body course because it keeps them engaged a bit more and they don't feel as burnt.
So a lot of gymnastic clubs have had it a ninja program. And I believe because they don't have a rig, they may have a high bar, uneven bars or something, but they're doing primarily lower body obstacle course. So they get slant steps and they get a trapezoid that they're jumping up and vaulting type things. So I think the good thing with that is, and for you as well, your foundation in gymnastics makes ninja more logical in your head because there is a progression. I got to be friends with Jonathan Horton, who was an Olympic gymnast and competed competed on American Ninja Warrior, I think twice. And he's really good, an Olympian in gymnastics, but he could approach things with an analytical point of view,
Yeah.
knowing, like you said, the chest was too far forward or back because they've done release moves on a high bar. I don't want to insinuate that you have to be a gymnast to do ninja, but it does help if your coach understands the
Right.
body mechanics of gymnastics.
I think that's the bigger piece is the body mechanics. We have a coach now who is a big rock climber, and he knows all of the movements and the ideas behind rock climbing where you want 3 points of contact as you move and controlling your hips and keeping them under your center of mass and stuff. All of that kind of goes back to gymnastics. Just being able to break down those skills. I really liked physics in high school and college. So I think that engineering minded of I'm going to take this skill and break it down into its components, and then we can focus on single variables to adjust where
Yeah, which is the whole point of gymnastics is
Yeah.
deconstruct the movement. You don't go in there and say, okay, we're going to work on a double twisting double back. You learn to
twist in the first place. Can
Yeah.
they go backwards in the first place? And that's where our curriculum really started to break down. Then you go all the way back to the foundation of, does this kid feel comfortable moving their body backwards? Does this kid feel comfortable getting their hips above their head? Because that's a whole developmental step in preschool, especially in this generation. Kids aren't getting their hips above their head. They're not developing core strength. They're not developing grip strength. And how can we get them those kind of the developmental needs that they need in order to do the higher skills? And that's what we've actually seen a lot more retention and engagement by doing that type of lesson planning versus just, okay, guys, the focus this week is laches and we're going to work all on these laches.
Yeah.
If the kid isn't even comfortable swinging their body on a bar, they're not going to ever get the lache.
Yeah, and that's the whole progression thing that we do in gymnastics. So I love that. One of my thoughts was, so there's a progression in tricks as well as within a trick. So like you have to do a lache before you can do a something. I
Yes.
don't know what it is, but I think that all adds up. And I think the general public today, not ninja, not athletes, the youth today has a lower amount of upper body strength than they did before. Us old people always tease, like as a kid, you didn't climb trees, you didn't jump fences, you didn't run from dogs. So that was our ninja back in our day. We did a lot of tree climbing and all that crazy stuff. I know that kids aren't on their own as much anymore. So it's incumbent upon places like yours to give them opportunity to develop and build that strength. So we're in a world where a lot of people feel to be good at a sport, you have to specialize. And one of the things that I thought when I started with Ninja was this was something that can and should spill over into every sport. So if you got a football team that came in there, learning the body mechanics of Ninja will help them become a better football player. Do you find that to be true, or do you get those kids?
Absolutely. Actually, that made me remember you spoke at Region 5 way long ago. It was the Blue Ocean Strategy talk.
Yeah.
And it stood out to me because you mentioned that gymnastics is fundamental to every sport. But I think ninja and gymnastics, those full body movements are fundamental to every sport. So if you can get kids that play football or baseball or soccer to come in, we've had multiple soccer players that have finished their time in ninja and then their parents come back to me and say they've actually seen better foot-eye coordination from all of their other peers. And we think it's because of ninja. Just getting them to work both sides of their brain, that full body movement, basically getting them every variety of workout that ninja has to offer helps them develop as athletes.
So I want to talk real quick, and this time always goes fast. So in marketing the Ninja program, do you find most luck is it more common to do your marketing on social media than in print advertising because of the motion?
Engaging social media posts tend to be the videos. We have a video of the kid going up and down the salmon ladder 4 times in a row. That got a couple thousand views. And we have one video of a girl mic'd up who she got the salmon ladder hop for the first time that had like 10,000 views. So the videos definitely help get engagement. The prints we use in-house a lot for that word of mouth kind of marketing, because when we're marketing in-house events and stuff, that's the draw that we want. We're not really looking for someone in Missouri to come to our in-house competition. So we'll use print when we want to generate in-house excitement and word of mouth and have that tangible thing kids can take to their parents. But the social media is great to just get out external views.
So Kids First has a huge recreational gymnastics program. They have a performance gymnastics, they have competitive gymnastics. But do those kids, which are primarily girls, do they participate in Ninja? Do you get those kids?
Yes, and there's a couple of caveats to that. We get a lot of crossover, especially with those younger girls, and actually some of those girls who are scared of the squat on jump to high bar. They'll come in and do Ninja because we have them jump to the bars all the time, and it helps them just realize that it's okay to fall. I'm not gonna, hurt myself doing this. And then with our boys recreational program, Ninja filled that gap where our boys, we call it Gym Jam, has become a smaller program because a lot of them moved to Ninja. We still offer boys rec because we want to cover both sides. A gymnastics personality and a Ninja personality at the extremes tend to be very different. We offer both, but we do get a lot of crossover between gymnastics. They just need an outlet where it's fun and relaxed and engaging. And then we get some ninjas who they realize they want to learn how to flip, or they want to go try gymnastics because they realize their upper body is really strong. So it goes both ways.
I think too that in Ninja you attract the counterculture of the skateboard, snowboard. That was at one point that was considered counterculture, and now it's commonplace. I think there's more snowboarders than there are skiers now, but it didn't used to be that way. I come from a gymnastics background, but we talk about rotating on a counter axis. So it's not as strict flip or twist, it's
Right.
counter axis.
I think the other part is I have a bunch of coaches that are also in that kind of blend of counterculture. Again, we have that personality of kids, and now we have the coaches that come in and can work with those kids and understand them. I think it can be hard sometimes as a gymnastics coach to come over to Ninja, and vice versa. When I go out into the gymnastics side, I'm like, okay, I just want to start getting a little sidetracked and start yelling and jumping around and being engaging and exciting, because I come from preschool too, where you have to be engaging and exciting the whole time. Gymnastics is very much, no, we're going to work on this thing, and that's what we're doing. Ninja is, we have a whole bunch of coaches that are like, okay, guys, let's all go work on the warped walls. Oh, I guess you guys don't want to do that. So we're going to go see who can get up the devil steps the fastest. And then we'll do some burpees and we'll run over this way. And it's very just spontaneous.
Yeah, I think it's an exploratory activity more so. But with that said, the best coaches are the ones that can let them explore, keep giving them pointers, and at the end, they don't realize they were taught, but they're doing what you said. So it's fun. Before we go, I want to go back to Ninja Connect, which the conference that you run. First off, what time of the year is that?
It'll be in August. I believe we have the dates marked for August 20th to 23rd of this year.
And is there limitations to who can attend that, or can anybody sign up? And
yeah, anyone's welcome. We had a marketing agency come out to see what the ninja industry looked like. We had you out, and you don't own a ninja gym, you work with ninja, so it's open to everyone.
Okay, yeah. So if someone's thinking of opening a ninja gym, but they haven't done it yet, or they own a gymnastic club and they're thinking about how to start this, is that appropriate?
I think so, because not only do you get to kind of see my thought process and hear from other people in the industry, but you just get to be in a room full of people who might be in the same boat as you, or they might have already opened a ninja gym, or they might have added ninja, or they've expanded. So you get to just be part of the community.
We talked earlier that you said that you were considering developing a dual track conference. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, so I'm going to send out the marketing email to our email list tomorrow, but the idea is to double the number of attendees. I'd love to get to 100 and offer two different tracks, because what I realized with Ninja right now is you have the gym owner, and then the number two at the gym tends to also be the head coach, or the gym owner's the head coach, and then their second in command is also teaching classes. So we're going to offer one track to the business side of the industry, and then one track towards the tactical kind of lesson planning and on the floor coaching side of the industry.
The good and the bad of that is I always end up in the business track and stuck in there, and I miss seeing the fun that goes on in the gym at the same time. But I'm sure there's opportunities to see both and try some things. And some of the coaches that are thinking about this might just like to hang out in the gym and try some things that they say. And I think we talked about this last year. We better get everyone signing away before they come in.
Yeah.
Some of the older coaches are like the young ones that think, oh, that looks easy on TV, but a salmon ladder or devil steps or any of those things are not easy.
That's actually part of the hang up is we're running registration this year through iClass just so we can get everyone on waiver this time.
Okay, good. Okay, so the announcements will come out soon. So
yep, I'm going to announce it probably tomorrow. I'll also put up a Facebook post about it. And then we have some information. It might change, but if they go to kidsfirstsports.com kidsfirstsports.com/ninja-connect. It'll have all of our information.
Yeah, so that's too much to remember. But if they go to Kids First and start,
Yes.
nosing
Yep.
around, they will find it.
Or
They
just
will
email
find it.
me or reach out to one of us here.
Okay, and we'll put it in the show notes afterwards when it comes out. What's a good email?
R. O'Hara, so that's OHARA at kidsfirstsports.com.
Okay, so that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Or just go call anyone at Kids First and ask for Reese, and they will connect you. I
Yep.
guarantee you. And just a side note for anybody who hasn't been there, whatever registration is for Ninja Connect, it's worth it for the tour of the facility and learn part of what they do at boot camp. And boot camp is overall, it started as business education for people running gymnastic clubs, and now it's multi-sport and it grows and grows. But part of the intrigue, and I've been 5 times or whatever, I think is seeing how it's done. So it's not a theoretical approach. What I teach is theoretical. What Reese teaches is real. I mean, he's doing it. It goes on, and that's what they do at Kids First. And one of the things that everybody should understand, and there's so many lessons I share of Jeff's, but one of my favorite is Jeff's graveyard. The graveyard is all the things that he tried that didn't work. Don't feel you have to hit a home run the first time. Try things and see, it's like, I remember when we built our first salmon ladder and I thought that you could jump a foot. No, that was stupid. Anyway, so you learn
Yeah,
things.
even with this Ninja Connect, we're going to try out these split tracks. We're going to try to double our numbers, and there's probably going to be things that don't work, but it's better than just staying the same, especially Ninja's built on change and growth.
And what's good is people from clubs, if you come in pairs or group, that makes a whole lot of sense. So you have gone one to each track, and then you come back and you share information. So, I mean, it's kind of like what we did at Congress for years and a lot of those events. There's things going on. I always complain I was up against Steve, Tom Cole or somebody who was a great speaker, and he would get 300 people and I would get 30. But that's life. That's how it works. So it's a great event for the first year. I loved it last year. I'm hoping to be back there this year, helping on that business side of it. Before we sign out, any last comments or advice to anybody who's in or getting in the ninja business?
I'm starting this new book. It's 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. A quote that stood out to me is, I don't know the quote, but basically it's stasis means death. If you stay at equilibrium, you're never going to grow and change. And if you just take that jump, take that risk. And at Kids First, we operate on ready, fire, aim, where we're going to do it and we'll fix out all the details later.
I just did if you don't follow me on Instagram, I do a thing called 2-minute drill. And 2-minute drill, I recommend a book every week. And I'm not reading them that fast, but I had a 30-year head start on reading. And one of my goals this year is to reread the 20 books that were most influential to me. So there's a lot of good ones. But I just got done a book by Bo Eason, who was an NFL player, called There Is No Plan B for Your A Game. Great book that you will love. Reese, thank you so much for coming on. I love this. We could talk forever. I'm hoping that somehow we can get set up and do live podcast from Ninja Connect this year to share with everybody. So anyway, that's where we're going. Thank you so much. We will talk soon. Say hi to everyone at Kids First.
I will. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Paradigm Playbook. Explore more at paradigmplaybook.com. Want to be a playmaker? Contact stephenjcook.com. Share this episode to spread the word about sports industry opportunities. See you next week.